Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
Today we're looking at something that, well, it might seem incredibly ordinary at first glance. You see them around. Maybe you even get stuck behind one sometimes. The humble automotive suction sweeper.
Yeah, street sweepers.
Exactly.
Street sweepers.
It's easy to overlook these machines, but a detailed market research report we're diving into today reveals they're part of a, frankly, surprisingly large and growing global market.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to go beyond just, seeing them on the street and really use this report to understand the actual scale, the significance of this industry worldwide.
Hmm.
And when we talk about scale, I mean, we're talking figures that might genuinely make you raise an eyebrow.
Oh, yeah. This report puts some really serious numbers behind the essential work these machines do. It's quite something.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. We'll start with the big picture, the global market for these automotive suction swoopers. Thinking of this as just like a few trucks puttering around.
Right. According to the source, this is a market valued at over $2.5 billion. That's billion with a B back in 2021.
2.57 billion, yeah. And the report projects that to grow pretty significantly, reaching just over $3 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then expected to climb further to over $4.1 billion by 2033.
Wow. So that growth trajectory, that represents a global compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of about 4.1%.
That's it, 4.1%.
Now, 4.1%, maybe it doesn't sound like, tech startup hyper growth, but for a specific type of heavy equipment like this,
Yeah.
that's remarkably steady. It's substantial expansion.
It really is. And what's fascinating here, the report makes us clear, is that this isn't growth based on some sudden fad or anything.
Right.
It connects this consistent increase directly to, well, fundamental drivers, things like the increasing need for urban maintenance in growing cities, the expansion of smart mobility infrastructure, and, broader urban development goals. It really signals ongoing essential investment happening worldwide.
Right. It's foundational stuff, infrastructure driving this. Now, okay, while that 4.1% is the global number, the report shows the story varies, actually quite a bit, depending on where you look, region by region.
Definitely.
So let's maybe break down some of those differences, starting in North America.
Sounds good. North America, yeah, it represents a really significant chunk of the global market. The report values it at over $874 million in 2021.
Okay, $874 million.
And that's growing to a projected, $1.3 billion, roughly, by 2033. The regional CAGR here is around 3.6%.
3.6. And I guess, as you might expect, the United States is the dominant player there, right? Within North America.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it accounts for the vast majority of those numbers. The report shows, strong, steady growth in the U.S. market itself. 737 million in 2021, projected over 1.1 billion by 2033. A CAGR around 3.5%.
Okay.
What's kind of interesting, though, is that while the U.S. is clearly the largest, the report does highlight Canada. It has a notably higher projected growth rate within the region. Yeah, showing a CAGR over 4.3%, so a bit faster growth there.
Right.
And Mexico also contributes meaningfully, solid growth around 3.8% CAGR projected.
Okay, so the U.S. is the big base, the foundation, but Canada seems to be accelerating its investment maybe a bit faster, percentage-wise at least.
That's what the numbers suggest, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's move across the Atlantic then. Let's look at Europe.
Right. Europe is another major established market. It was valued at over $563 million back in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to reach over $860 million by 2033. The regional CAGR here is actually slightly higher than North America's. It's about 3.67%.
Just a bit higher.
Yeah.
And the report, it details quite a few countries here, doesn't it? It seems like a varied landscape.
It really does. Germany stands out. It's the clear leader within Europe. Strong market size, over 115 million in 2021, heading towards 190 million by 2033, and a pretty strong CGR too, around 4.3%.
4.3. Okay, so Germany's strong.
Yeah, Germany, along with the UK. The UK's CAGR is just over 4%. And Spain, which is showing a CAGR over 3.9%, they seem to be leading the growth within this established market.
Got it.
But the report also notes, significant contributions from countries like France, Italy. They've got decent numbers. Russia, the Nordics, Sweden, and Denmark are mentioned specifically. Even smaller places like Switzerland and Luxembourg are in there. It's quite detailed.
So a lot of consistent investment across the board, even if the growth rates vary a bit.
Exactly. It shows widespread, ongoing investment in this type of, urban infrastructure right across Europe.
Okay, now, here's where the growth story really seems to kick into high gear. Asia Pacific.
Ah.
The report specifically labels this region as the fast-growing one. And looking at the
Yeah.
numbers, yeah, they absolutely back that up.
They really do. This region's market, it's projected to go from just under $660 million in 2021
Okay.
to over $1.17 billion by 2033.
Wow, billion.
Yeah, and it holds the highest regional CGR globally, nearly 5%.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
And it holds the highest regional CGR globally, nearly 5%, 4.98% to be exact.
Almost 5% regional CAGR. That's huge. China is, I'm guessing, the largest market within APAC.
Unsurprisingly, yes. China leads 230 million in 2021, projected over 420 million by 2033, with its own strong CAGR around 5.15%.
Okay.
But the number that really jumps off the page, and the report specifically calls this out as notable, is India's growth rate.
Right, I saw that. What was it?
It's projected to grow at an astonishing 6.071% CAGR.
6%. Over 6%.
Yeah, that's the highest rate for any country listed in the entire report.
That's incredible.
And the report directly connects this rapid acceleration to, well, India's intense pace of urbanization and the massive infrastructure development projects that are currently underway there. It's a really clear indicator of where significant investment is happening right now.
The KGR of over 6% is just striking. It really shows how quickly some of these markets are expanding compared to that global average of 4.1%.
Absolutely. And, other key markets in APAC, like Japan, South Korea, Australia, they also contribute substantially. And you've got other fast-growing spots, too, like Singapore and across Southeast Asia generally, showing really strong potential as well. Taiwan's mentioned, too.
So that higher overall KGR for APAC, it really underscores that this is where a lot of the future growth in this sweeper market is expected, driven just by the sheer scale and speed of development happening there.
Precise.
Okay. Let's turn our attention then to South America. What's the picture there?
South America's market is also showing pretty solid growth. It's projected from just under $188 million in 2021 to over $317 million by 2033. The regional CAGR is strong, about 4.5%.
4.5. Decent.
Yeah, quite healthy. Brazil is the lead country there, according to the report. Around $73 million in 2021, heading to $122 million.
Okay.
Interestingly, Argentina is noted as having a particularly strong growth rate relative to the regional average. Its CAGR is projected over 5%.
Oh, wow. So Argentina's popping there, too.
Seems like it. And countries like Colombia, Peru, Chile, they also contribute significantly to the regional numbers. It's a broad base.
So it seems like South America presents, a healthy growth picture overall, maybe with some pockets like Argentina accelerating even faster.
That seems to be the takeaway, yes.
Okay. Next up, the Middle East.
Right. The Middle East market was valued at around $151, maybe $152 million in 2021, projected to exceed $250 million by 2033.
And the CAGR.
Regional TGR is about 4.26%. So again, pretty solid growth, slightly above the global average.
Yeah, and this growth, it feels very much tied to all the significant urban and infrastructure development we hear so much about in that region, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think the report's figures for countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, they directly reflect those massive investments in new cities, large-scale projects, and just maintaining modern urban environments.
Right.
Cleanliness and infrastructure maintenance are just paramount in these rapidly expanding areas, and that drives demand for sweepers. Turkey and Egypt are also mentioned with significant markets.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, finally, let's look at Africa.
Africa. The market there is projected to grow from about $136 million in 2021 to over $219 million by 2033.
Okay. And the growth rate?
The regional CAGR is around 3.58%.
Okay. So that's actually the lowest regional CAGR mentioned in the report.
It is, yes. But it still represents steady growth,
Yeah.
Countries like South Africa show strong growth, and Nigeria is a key player. But the pace definitely varies across the continent, which reflects the diverse stages of development you see there.
Right. So still growing, but maybe not at the pace of, say, Asia-Pacific or even South America.
Correct. Different dynamics at play.
Okay. So we've gone around the globe, looked at all these numbers, these regions. After diving into all this, what's the big takeaway? Why should someone listening, care about the market for automotive suction sweepers?
Well, I think this market's growth, it's a really tangible indicator of some significant global trends. The report highlights that the demand isn't just about keeping streets clean in the traditional sense.
It's more than that. It's tied directly to the build-out of things like smart mobility infrastructure.
It's exactly.
Urban infrastructure upgrades, and importantly, Those smart cities initiatives that prioritize efficiency, environmental quality, livability, all of that stuff.
Precisely. And it's also a crucial piece of environmental cleanliness programs, things aimed at reducing pollutants, improving air quality, water quality in urban areas.
Right.
So the growing market for these machines, it isn't just about companies buying equipment. It's actually a direct reflection of cities and countries worldwide investing literally billions in making their urban environments function better, look cleaner, and frankly, be healthier places to live. That's the real significance behind these numbers, I think.
That really reframes it, doesn't it? What seems like this specialized, maybe even mundane piece of equipment
Yeah.
is actually sitting right at the center of a multi-billion-dollar global industry. And its growth is driven by these really essential goals, like building smarter cities and improving our environment.
It serves as a perfect example, really, of how even seemingly niche market data can provide some deep insights into these larger patterns of global development and investment.
Absolutely. And kind of leaves you wondering, if we can learn so much about global investment in urban development, in environmental programs, just by looking at the market for street sweepers, what other seemingly small, specialized industries might reveal fascinating trends about, the direction our world is heading?
It's a great question. Something to chew on.
Definitely something to chew on. Well, thank you for walking us through all that data. Really fascinating stuff.
Always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
And thank you all for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another exploration into the data. Until then, keep asking questions.
Okay, let's jump right in. We're doing a deep dive today into, well, it might seem like a niche topic, but it's actually pretty crucial, the automotive suction sweeper market. Yeah, we're looking at some analysis from cognitive market research, and our mission really is to get past the usual market jargon and pull out the important stuff, maybe some surprising facts specifically for you. Why sweepers, you might ask? Because honestly, as our cities grow and, infrastructure needs change, these machines, they're becoming absolutely essential, not just for keeping things tidy, but really for public health, maintenance. It's a sector that's seeing some really interesting shifts. So based on this analysis, what's really pushing this market forward right now?
Well, the report highlights one main driver pretty clearly. It's this increasing global focus, on municipal infrastructure development and environmental hygiene.
Okay.
Think about governments pretty much everywhere prioritizing clean, livable cities.
So it's not just aesthetics, it's more fundamental than that.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
Livable cities.
So it's not just aesthetics, it's more fundamental than that.
Exactly. Suction sweepers are kind of moving from being a nice to have to, well, being seen as a necessary tool, for maintaining basic urban sanitation standards, especially with populations growing.
Right, right. And technology must be playing a part too. The analysis mentions advancements making them more appealing.
Oh, absolutely. A big part. We're seeing things like quieter motors, electric or hybrid, which is, huge for noise in cities. Plus, more efficient suction systems picking up finer stuff and better fuel optimization, even on the traditional models.
Makes them work better, less hassle.
Definitely. More effective, less disruptive.
And environmental rules. I imagine those are forcing some changes.
They definitely are. Stricter regulations are really pushing cities and contractors, too, away from those older, maybe less efficient diesel models, pushing them towards cleaner options, often electric or hybrid. That regulatory pressure, it's a significant tailwind for growth here.
Okay, but it's never that simple, is it? Where are the main challenges, the hurdles for this market?
Yeah, the biggest restraint flagged in the report is, well, the cost, the significant upfront capital cost. I mean, we're talking about sophisticated vehicles here. And that initial price tag, it can be a major barrier, especially, for smaller towns or maybe private cleaning companies.
Right. These aren't exactly cheap machines, and I'm guessing the upkeep isn't trivial either.
Precisely. Ongoing maintenance is also pretty high. It often needs specialized skills, specific parts, and that need for skilled labor for operating and maintaining these advanced machines. That's another difficulty the report notes, particularly in regions where finding those skilled technicians might be, well, tough.
That makes a lot of sense. Are there operational issues, too, beyond just the money side?
Yes, definitely. Getting around tight city streets, narrow or congested areas, that can still be a real challenge for the bigger sweepers. And the report also points to seasonal usage patterns.
Like autumn leaves.
Exactly. They might get heavy use then, or maybe after construction cleanup. But other times, potential underutilization. And that can really affect the return on investment when you've spent so much on the machine itself.
Okay, so we've got this push from urban needs and better tech, but then this pullback from the cost and the complexity of operating them. So where's the market actually evolving? What are the dynamic trends happening now?
Well, one major trend ties directly back to those environmental drivers we mentioned,
Hmm.
the really strong shift towards electrification and sustainability in general. Cities are actively choosing battery-powered or hybrid sweepers, not just for emissions, but as you hinted, for cutting down noise in residential zones. That's a big one.
Yeah, people definitely notice the noise. What about smart tech? Is that creeping in?
Oh, it's more than creeping in. It's becoming quite central. The integration of IoT, Internet of Things, and telematics, that's becoming almost standard. Think about sensors on the sweeper itself, collecting real-time data.
Like what kind of data?
Things like uh, how full the hopper is, the condition of the brushes, maybe engine performance metrics, and sending all that back wirelessly.
So they're not just cleaning streets, they're kind of reporting back on their own status.
Exactly that. And this data, it allows for some really useful things, like optimizing routes based on actual need, not just a fixed schedule, or predictive maintenance fixing something before it breaks down out on the road, better fleet management overall. It actually helps tackle some of those operational and maintenance cost challenges we talked about earlier.
Interesting. Any other big trends the report mentioned?
Yes, two more stand out. There's a growing demand for smaller, more compact models, sometimes multi-purpose ones too. These are designed specifically for those tricky, tight urban areas.
Ah, tackling that navigation problem head on.
Right. And finally, the rental market. It's expanding globally, and that's pretty significant. It basically gives companies or cities access to this advanced equipment without that huge upfront capital investment.
More flexibility.
It's exactly flexibility and a way around some of those financial hurdles, especially maybe for shorter-term needs or just trying out the newer tech.
So, thinking about all this, you've got the high costs, the operational complexities, but then balanced against these really powerful drivers, like just the basic need for cleaner cities, plus these exciting trends like IoT, electrification, and this growing rental option. It leads to kind of a provocative thought, maybe for you listening. Will these tech advancements, the smart features, the IoT, and these new business models like renting, will they truly make these essential urban cleaning tools, these advanced suction sweepers, genuinely accessible and sustainable for all communities around the world? Or will that initial cost, that complexity, still remain a major barrier for many places?
Yeah, it's a good question. Ultimately, the analysis paints this picture of a market that's really driven by essential urban needs and a lot of technological potential.
But still grappling with significant hurdles. Yeah, cost, maintenance, just the logistics of it all.
Definitely grappling. Yet, it's also clearly transforming fast. Through electrification, smarter tech like that IoT integration, and these changing access models like rental, as the source material puts it, it's a market that's both resilient and transformative.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the surprisingly complex world of automotive suction sweepers.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai